The dip is an exercise that is quickly growing in popularity, and for good reason. I believe it has been overlooked for years for muscle growth, body weight mastery, and sheer overall strength. However, not a lot of people know how to properly utilize this exercise for the most gain, and a common concern people have is how often the dip is labeled as a dangerous movement. It's often warned against for its reputation for risk of injury as well as general shoulder and chest pain during the exercise. In this video, I'm going to break down the benefits of training the dip, how to train them safely and to avoid discomfort, as well as how to quickly progressive overload this exercise in order to keep getting benefit from it for the rest of your life. So before we jump in, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any new calisthenics and training at home content from me, and please leave a like on the video as it goes a long way. Many calisthenics athletes and fitness coaches describe the dip as the squat of the upper body, the #1 compound exercise that will build the most muscle, power, and overall strength with every single rep you do. And though some may argue that the pull-up is the most essential upper body exercise, I would be inclined to lean towards the dip as well. But I've always been more partial to pushing movements, so that may be why. Regardless, it cannot be argued that the dip is the most effective pushing exercise in order to cover all three main pushing muscle groups: the chest, the triceps, and the shoulders. When you're performing a bodyweight dip, all of your weight is supported by your arms, meaning there is a lot more load on your muscles than there is when you're performing a push-up. This is one of the largest factors to its superiority, not to mention the level of extra stretch you can get in a dip versus the push-up. In a push-up, your range of motion is limited once your chest hits the ground, but with a dip, as long as your shoulders are mobile enough, you can stretch far past the 90-degree angle and put an incredible amount of good stress on your chest. These reasons and many more are why I included the dip as one of the top 5 essential exercises I recommend everyone develop a level of mastery in. If you'd like to discover what the other exercises are and how to perform them to achieve an amazing foundation of fitness, you can download the free guide that I put together, which is available on my Patreon page, first link in the description. It's so fast and easy to become a free member, and you can download the guide in minutes. Once again, it'll be the first link in the description. This ability for increased range of motion in the dip, however, is also the reason the dip is seen as a potentially more dangerous exercise, and shoulder mobility is often a skill people will have to work up to slowly, so don't push past the limits your body is currently comfortable at. In order to perform a pain-free and proper dip, you want to make sure you keep your elbows tucked relatively close to your body, not flaring out with each rep. Your shoulder muscles aren't nearly as strong when your elbows are flared, which means the pressure is transferred to your joints and tendons. This is often the reason why people tear their rotator cuff during dips or develop pain in their elbows. So keep your elbows tucked in closer to your body so that you can feel your shoulders properly loading the weight. You should feel resistance against your shoulder muscles, but no pain. Next, as you lower into your first half of the dip, lean slightly forward so that your chest also engages and stretches as you drop. Keep your core tight and partially rounded forward as well to make sure that your spine is well supported. When you can feel all three pushing muscle groups working in the dip, you'll know you are in the proper position. Shoulders, chest, and triceps all working together. When you push back up, don't let yourself break form. Trying to kip or arch your back or whip your neck upward in an effort to complete the exercise is so often when the bad injuries happen. If you can't complete the dip without perfect form, don't let your ego get the best of you. Get off the bars, take a rest, and listen to your body. If dips are currently a too difficult exercise for you, or you can only do 1 to 5 reps, my advice would be to spend most of your push training performing push-ups. Push-ups are an easier variation of push training that activates all of the same muscle groups, so train your push-ups until you can perform 15 to 30 in a single set. When you've developed this level of strength, you should be able to train sets of 5 to 10 dips in a safe and effective way. But how do you then progress dips once you feel confident with sets of 10 to 20 with your body weight? Here is a simple plan to apply progressive overload to dips in order for you to keep benefiting from them and building crazy strength with this exercise for years to come. The first assumption that might pop into your head would be to simply start practicing weighted dips. And while this is a future step, my biggest warning to anyone starting out in dips is to not graduate to weighted dips too quickly. Before jumping the gun and adding weights to your dips in the hopes of quickly increasing the resistance, I highly encourage everyone to stick to bodyweight dips for longer than you probably feel is necessary. A foundational mastery of the dip and any difficult exercise is the key to your body truly adapting to the movement for pain-free and effective training. So first, just start by trying to increase your reps and sets of dips. Go high volume with this exercise in your workouts, performing the bodyweight dip over and over again. This is going to bulletproof your shoulders, your joints, and your tendons and ligaments as they adapt to the movement. Soon the dip won't feel like a challenging exercise anymore, and it will just feel like another fluid movement your body is completely comfortable doing. And as you do this, work on slowing down your reps too, increasing your body's familiarity with the time under tension. Try and deepen your range of motion in the dip as well, stretching your chest further and further down in your reps in order to open up your shoulders' mobility and further bulletproof those rotator cuffs. As I said before, be very careful doing this. Do not overextend your range of motion past your body's current comfortability level. If at any time the deep stretch causes discomfort or twinges of pain in any area of your body, back off to avoid injury. I would suggest that only once you can do deep stretch repetitions of the dip with no pain and perform endurance sets of the bodyweight dip up to 30 or even 50 repetitions should you begin to turn your eyes to the weighted version of this exercise. The good news is that once you are ready for weights, you are going to see insane progress very fast. The dip is one of the easiest exercises to add weight to. My preferred way was investing in a calisthenics weight belt so you can easily load weight plates between your legs on a chain. However, if you can't afford to invest in that equipment, you could load weight in a backpack or carry a dumbbell locked between your knees or wear a weight vest. I've trained dips with all of these variations before and they all do work, though the weight belt is the easiest way to load weight and it's the safest way to dip heavier weight once you're reaching sets with an added 100 pounds or more. When doing weighted dips, the same safety rule stands. Keep your form super tight, super clean. If you cannot perform a dip without your form breaking down, don't try and ego lift it. You also don't want to do any deep stretch, extreme range of motion reps with added weights either. With body weight, it's okay, but when you add weight on top, it's very likely that your rotator cuffs and your joints just aren't going to be able to handle it very well, and that could lead to injury. So just focus on a standard range of motion where your elbows reach a 90-degree perpendicular position with the floor, then push right back up from there. The amount of power you can generate in a dip with your shoulders, chest, and triceps working in tandem is like no other exercise. And as you progress with endurance sets and eventually with adding weight, you will see how quickly your body adapts and grows with this movement. Your upper body was built to thrive in this sort of exercise, but most people will never push themselves hard enough to realize this. This is why, as your muscles blow up in response to the task you set for them, and you develop extreme levels of strength and the physique of a tank you never even thought was possible, you will realize how quickly you surpass almost everyone in basic pushing strength. With consistent and hard training, you will become a calisthenics warrior and join the 1%. If you'd like to discover all 5 essential calisthenics exercises I encourage everyone to develop a level of mastery in to achieve an amazing level of foundational fitness, you can download my free guide from my Patreon, first link in the description. And if you'd like to discover the most overlooked benefits of another amazing exercise, the pull-up, watch the video on screen right now. Subscribe so you don't miss any more calisthenics content from me, leave a like on this video, and until next time, happy training.